I'm really curious, like, who is the feminine that you want to render visible? I'm curious with everyone, like, there's something that brought us here tonight particularly, and in general, the appearance of the integral feminine, and how you would invoke the feminine.
I guess in terms of kind of my personal history, I guess my initial idea of practice was to kind of like just let it go, you know, which is just masculine stuff, and that created a lot of kind of broken relationships and you know, kind of broken hearts and stuff. So you know, I just really feel that's an important element.
Okay. How many people relate to that phenomena that Richard just described?
The
in their
brokenheartedness?
practice of feeling of it like you're a little outside of connection, a little outside of relation, and that you feel the broken heart around that at a certain point. There's a certain sense of separation that becomes kind of intolerable at a certain point in your practice. Anybody?
There's some heads nodding.
Hello.
So.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that out.
Well, you know the dichotomy that you brought up is like woman means lower. Well, it's interesting that I didn't get that lower was worse when you were talking. You know, like woman is lower. It's like, is that bad? And it comes from a conversation just prior to starting this talk. I was speaking to somebody that just had a baby and watched his wife go through the transformation of being a really incredibly dedicated practitioner, and also very dedicated to the articulation through very, you know, highly verbal cognitive means of communicating body and, you know, the philosophy of body, and that he saw her awareness like sink completely into like this bullseye of being. Lower. Ta-da! You know, that lower is worse is the tricky thing that I think we've inherited as a little bit of a conundrum. And I, you know, just personally, I do think it does have to do with how free we are of having to engage for survival, just the basic functionality of the body. It starts becoming weird, like, you know, 100 years ago, there was nobody on the planet, no matter at what level of wealth, that didn't have to stoke the fire to stay alive in, you know, you were a king or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like physical labor, just physical sensation has gotten tremendously minimized, and a lot of cognitive freedom. But the application through sensation, I think, has gotten even a little bit more bewildering. Mm-hmm. So,
word
up.
So what's on your mind? Do you have questions or ideas, or why are you here, actually? I'm interested.
I'm here because I feel like I'm in a huge point of transformation in my life. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and motherhood this is so awesome for you guys. It has kind of stripped me bare of everything that I thought that I was, and I wanted people to think that I was, and I thought my parents or my in-laws expected me to be, or my church expected me to be. And it has just been the coolest discovery. I just feel so clear and real and like me for the first time ever.
Wow.
And
what's your daughter's name?
Emma Grace.
Emma Grace? Wow. Good name.
And she's amazing.
Yeah.
But you know, I recently had a friend that I went to college with move into town, and she didn't recognize me because I used to have big hair and pink nails and lots of makeup and just kind of sounded like I had it all together, and now I just feel like it's coming together, and so I feel like I don't really need all that stuff. And she said to me a few weeks ago, "You've changed, and it's so fun. Like, I loved you then, but it's really great to get to know you." And that's how I feel about myself. Like, I finally feel like, wow, I understand what it means to be balanced. And I understand what it means to feel inner peace. And I want more of that. And I want to share that, and I want to raise my child that way. And Jackie invited me tonight, and I was all over it. So I'm really glad to be here.
Wow. Well said. Well said.
Very. Well, I just have a question that will bring up another aspect of the integral feminine. Do you ever see somebody who was just like you before when you were really confused? Do you ever see a woman? And what do you feel when you see her?
Woman that reminded me of myself in the grocery store. And she actually had 3 kids like hanging off of her cart, and she just looked like she was in complete misery. Like she just could not figure out how to put one foot in front of the other. And I kind of went home and I just told my husband, I was like, why do people do this to themselves? And as I kept thinking about it more and more, I've really kind of transitioned, and I really have been challenging myself to just love and to just say, you have all that you need and you are free now. And just instead of like sizing someone up or comparing myself at a time when I'm so grateful for that time, because if I can grow that much each decade of my life, I'm very excited. And so, but I'm trying to look with loving, non-judgmental eyes. And so if I see someone that their actions scream, I need a little prayer, or I need a smile, I'm trying to be more intuitive to that instead of like, because my way just used to be more of that observing, like, oh, that person looks like they have this issue or this issue, and I'm trying to wipe myself clean of doing that.
But basically, there is a point where you can experience so much freedom because your heart is naturally so pleased to see a male manifest in front of you. Like just in the way a male manifests, in whatever medicine, whatever gift, whatever particularity, that particular male. And through the praise and through the experience of like regarding the difference, that your actual appreciation of him strengthens him. Just by the way that you do that. And the same is true of each other and of females, that what she was describing before, where your mind starts to expand and you start to see all the women who are different, and you see the woman from New Jersey with her long hair and her really short, like Levi's skirt and her platform heels and the way she walks, and you just think she rocks, and then you see some woman from, Marin County who's like got the gauze skirt thing going and the long earrings, and you think, oh God, I just want you to feed me vegetarian lasagna so bad. I'm so into it, And then you see a woman from Japan who's like, nobody looks as good and nobody offers themselves in service as beautifully as a Japanese woman. It just doesn't happen, Or you see a Mexican mother and the way she holds her child, and there are 3 or 4, and it's like you just want to be in her lap. And really what we're pointing towards is this ability, it's sort of a transgendered place in the sense that you're so in love with phenomena, and you're so in love with the difference, and you're so in love with the many millions of forms that even when you see a street person, who's clearly a crack addict and who's clearly like high, that you see that and you start praising that too, and you experience that as yourself, and it's no longer an effort that you make, it's a spontaneous sort of thing that just happens, and you realize, that the suffering and the sin is me too, and so what we're interested in is cultivating practices and relationships that support our ability to be in that activity of praise and appreciation, and how as women through the entire globe, like what is it in this particular form, that what you have to contribute in bringing all women into that place, where at least they feel some sense of it's okay, like it's okay. Like even just to be able to feel, like maybe you can't feel the praise, but just to be able to feel that it's okay, and to be able to offer ourselves to give the world just a little bit bigger sense that it's okay, it's going to be okay, it is okay. And inevitably my experience always is of radical suffering, and then at a certain moment I feel this incredible descent of feminine compassion through the feminine body, where I feel held in a way by a woman. And really that's been the biggest teaching to me in the last 5 years, is just to realize what a radical thing to be in a female body and to hold someone who needs to be held. Like, to me, that's where we're going. We're going to a place where we just know what that is, right? And then we'll work out the details in the workplace. We'll get that figured out. We can figure that out,